Let's talk about the Department of Veterans Affairs, or the VA. What's the first thing that pops into your head? For a lot of people, it's probably a news headline or some political debate. But the real story? Well, it's way more complex and, frankly, a lot more vital to American life than you might think. So today, we're going to pull back the curtain on the VA, and I have a feeling what we find is going to change how you see it.
And it all starts with the people. U.S. military veterans, they only make up about 6% of the population, but wow, their impact on our society is just massive. So this explainer is all about the huge system built to serve them, and, as we're about to see, to serve all of us too.
And when I say massive, I am not kidding. Get a load of this number. Over $313 billion. That's billion with a B. That was the VA's requested budget for just 1 year, 2023. To put that in perspective, that makes it the second largest federal agency right behind the Department of Defense.
So that really brings us to the big question, right? What is this system we're pouring so much money into? And here's the real kicker, why should it matter to you, even if you've never worn a uniform? The answer? Well, it's probably not what you're expecting.
All right, so first things first, we've got to understand how the VA is actually put together. It's not just one giant monolith. A better way to think about it is like a huge parent company that owns a few really distinct, really powerful branches, and each one has a supercritical job.
It really boils down to four main pillars. First, you've got the Veterans Health Administration, the VHA, that's the healthcare side. Then there's the Veterans Benefits Administration, the VBA, which handles stuff like the GI Bill and home loans. You have the National Cemetery Administration, or NCA, which provides a final resting place for veterans. And of course, the Office of Information Technology that keeps the whole digital shebang running. For this explainer, we're going to zero in on the biggest piece of the pie, the VHA.
Okay, and this is where things get really interesting. Because the VHA doesn't just have one job. Oh no. It has 4 official missions. And these missions stretch way, way beyond the veteran community. They actually improve the health and well-being of pretty much everyone in the country and even around the world.
So, mission number 1 is the one you probably already guessed, healthcare. The VHA takes care of about 9 million veterans at almost 1,300 different facilities. It is the largest integrated health system in the entire United States, period.
All right, mission 2, research. And honestly, this is where the VHA is just an absolute powerhouse. We're talking about medical breakthroughs that have literally changed our lives. You know the shingles vaccine? Yep, that came from the VHA. The nicotine patch that helps people quit smoking? VHA again. The very first implantable pacemaker? You got it. They've also led the way in developing the best treatments we have for PTSD. The scale of this research is just staggering. The only organization in the country with more research firepower is the National Institutes of Health. And because the VHA can track millions of patients over really long periods, we're talking decades, it can find answers to medical questions that no other system on Earth can.
And all that research and care leads directly into Mission 3, teaching. The VA's role here is so important that the American Association of Medical Colleges calls it irreplaceable. I mean, you don't get a stronger endorsement than that. Why? Because it's basically one of the nation's biggest and most important classrooms for our future doctors.
Get this, 7 out of every 10 doctors in the United States get some of their training at the VA. Just let that sink in for a second. That means the odds are incredibly high that your doctor or a doctor you'll see down the road learned crucial skills inside a VA hospital. This isn't just about veteran care anymore, is it? This is about the quality of health care for every single one of us.
And finally, we have the VHA's 4th mission. Basically, the VHA is mandated to be the nation's emergency medical reserve. So when things get really bad, a hurricane, a terrorist attack, or a global pandemic like we all just lived through with COVID-19, the VHA is the system that steps in to back up civilian hospitals and help communities in crisis.
Okay, so those are the 4 missions. Pretty incredible, right? But what about the care itself? The way the VHA actually does healthcare is fundamentally different from what most of us are used to in the private sector. Let's dig into that unique model for a minute.
So what are the big differences? I mean, really, what makes the VHA's approach so special when a veteran walks through the door? Okay, so here's how it breaks down. In the VHA, doctors are on a salary. Their pay isn't based on how many tests they run or procedures they do. This totally changes the game. It shifts the focus from transactions to a patient's total health. It's a team-based system designed to treat the whole person, not just a list of symptoms. And maybe most critically, it's built on what's called military cultural competency. They actually understand the unique experiences and health risks that come with serving in the military.
But, and this is a big but, For all of its strengths, for all of the unique things it does, the VHA is a system under an incredible amount of pressure. It's really facing a perfect storm of challenges that could threaten its ability to keep fulfilling its missions for the next generation. A huge part of that pressure comes down to money and where that money is going. Just look at this. Over a recent 5-year span, spending to send veterans to private doctors, what's called community care, shot up by 116%. Now compare that to what was invested in the VHA's own staff and buildings, just 32%. That's a massive gap, and it raises some really urgent questions about the future.
And that kind of funding gap has real-world consequences. One of the biggest? Staffing. The VHA is staring down a severe shortage of healthcare workers. We're talking over 50,000 vacant positions. To put that into perspective, that is a bigger workforce than the entire departments of state, labor, and education combined.
You see how this all connects and becomes a kind of vicious cycle, right? You chronically underfund the internal system, which leads to critical staffing shortages. Then, those shortages get even worse because of a hiring process that's notoriously slow. And all of that just adds fuel to the political pressure to outsource more and more care to the private sector.
Before we finish up, I have to pause because this is without a doubt the most important information in this entire explainer. The VA services are a literal lifeline. So, if you're a veteran in crisis or if you know one who is, please help is available right now. Just dial 988 and then press 1. You will be connected immediately. And that leaves us with this final massive question. We've seen that the VA is so much more than a hospital system. It's a national asset for medical research, for training our doctors, and for emergency response. But as the needs of our veterans grow, we're at a crossroads. Will we, as a nation, reinvest in this unique integrated system, or will we continue down a path toward a more privatized model? The answer to that question is going to define the future of care for our veterans, and it's going to impact the health of our entire nation.